Kwe, Vivian Dashnikaznan, Taganaktan Budisa. My name is Vivian, and I'm Anishinaabe. I'm a craftswoman who specializes in First Nations beaded art. I've been beading for about 15 years and have taught myself other forms of contemporary art. Most First Nations people learn of their traditional teachings from their grandparents. So as an Anishinaabe, my grandmother taught me a lot of what I know. Whenever we would bead or sew, she would tell us stories from her life. One of my favorite stories is when she was teaching my mother how to make moccasins. My mother ended up making her moccasins 2 sizes too small. I lived with my grandmother for most of my life. A lot of my early childhood years and my late teens were spent with her. We lived in our traditional hunting territories most of the time, only leaving to get food and supplies. Summers were spent picking medicinal herbs, and when it was nearing fall, we spent time picking blueberries and hunting. My favorite thing about being in the bush was being able to explore as far as I wanted and still be in nature. No matter how far I would explore, I never got lost. I wouldn't be a very good native if I got lost in my own territory. Many of our nights were spent around a campfire, with my grandmother preparing bannock and baked beans for the next day. After a good meal, she would continue her teachings. I remember when she taught me how to skin my first moose. I learned then just how much work was put into preparing our meals, and because of that, I wasted less food. It made me respect and love my grandmother even more. My grandmother was a kind but stubborn woman. She was always focused on providing food and comfort. She taught me how to be independent and resilient, to adapt to any situation I would face, and I was always a quick learner. When my grandmother would show me something new, I usually picked it up on my first try. I still use a lot of what she taught me, even to this day. And even though I don't have any kids of my own, I still pass down her teachings to my nieces and nephews. It wasn't always just me and my grandmother at the camp. Other family members would stay in the surrounding cabins, and we supported one another. I remember sitting in the back of trucks in summer on our way to the beach with my cousins. A few of us may have fallen off on the way. I remember picking up mussels along the beach and bringing them back to eat. My sister and I would fight over them a lot, even though I was always the one who picked and cooked them. Like most siblings, my sister and I didn't get along when we were younger, but we grew closer as time passed. I was definitely a bit of a troublemaker, and I always got us in trouble. But whenever we got caught, she would always take the harsher punishments in my place. I wasn't very close to my other family members, besides my grandmother and my oldest sister. When I wasn't with my grandmother, I didn't have the greatest childhood, and so the memories and the lesson gained with her were priceless.
Vivian. My grandpa actually used to call me Vivian. Or no, Jijian. Adipun Jijian.